change the window. While I'm here, might as well change region. If it will let me. Howdy do to everybody. Q&A time. That was your cue, Owen.
Cow anymore. I think it's funny because it's like we're on time. Well, I looked at the thing and I was like, there's like one person watching. I was like, oh, okay, we're not live yet. Okay, we're good. Welcome everyone. Yet another QA show here on the Popcast Network. This is the show that you dictate the pace of. If you are in live chat, if you're on our Discord server, if you left comments, then you can dictate the pace and ask these questions for Ashley and AJ, and occasionally me. Depends. My name is Owen. Got my fingers crossed. You obviously know why. And more information forthcoming. With that being said, also joining us tonight, we have the man who is not buying stock in Endeavor, Ashley.
Probably.
And of course, AJ.
Yeah.
So this week we should be having the return of AJ's movie reviews to Popcast Network. More information forthcoming. So
the first one should be the one that I told you was going to be the first one.
Yes.
That's Cocaine Bear, Knock at the Cabin, and Missing. Will be how we start.
AJ's horror movie reviews. Basically.
Oh yeah.
Not branded. We did do that before. We did AJ's zombie reviews many moons ago.
I was just talking about this with somebody. Is Cocaine Bear a horror movie?
I mean, it's a horror. Really it's horror. It's horrific what they did to the actual true story, but I don't think that counts.
I guess the terminology I would utilize is horror adjacent.
Yeah, because it feels.
It is a dark comedy.
Yeah, it's a dark comedy is pretty much it, and it feels more like an action movie than a horror movie. Weirdly,
yeah, I can see that. But yeah, that's a good video actually, and I enjoyed all three of those movies in one way, shape, or form. So that'll be AJ's response, which does not mirror mine. Hint, hint, wink, wink, smile, smile, nudge, nudge, apostrophe.com. Needless to say, that's coming your way later this week, plus more Dickens carolers from the Voices of Liberty, and more Sip and Snacks, Snack Stash, lots of stuff still to come. Stay tuned. Popcast Network. Daily content since 2012, literally. When we were literally just called Welcome to My World. Had nothing to do with the fact of the May 1st date of Popcast Network, because Pop started on May 1st, but the channel started in 2012. So yeah, it took a while to find our identity, but once we did, we're here. And we're not going anywhere. Friends, we've got chat live as always. Like I said, you propelled the show, and this show started to be propelled about an hour ago with Brian. It says I'm going to get my comments here right now because I'll be doing something else you will see in a second. First up, I've been watching some 2022 movies. Bob's Burgers, which AJ didn't review.
I still haven't seen it. I've never seen an episode of that show, and I have no interest in it whatsoever.
Yeah, every time I saw the trailer start, I usually head for the hills, like the bathroom, or get a refill on my soda. I don't know Jack about Bob's Burgers at all, and the only knowledge I have of it is the Bill and Ted joke in 2017. That's all I know about it. That's it. And it's called Otto.
Yeah, I think that also just stems from I've noticed that I've never really had much of an interest in would you just call it adult animation, stuff like The Simpsons and American Dad and shit like that.
Yeah, I was gonna just throw out the elephant in the room and say just Simpson style animation.
Yeah, I just was never drawn to any of those.
So basically, anything that aired on the Fox network for like 10 years.
Yeah, I used to watch Family Guy all the time, but then I think I just grew out of it.
What about South Park?
I come and go with South Park.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I think it really hit any like bad quality or anything. I just go in and out of it. There's just so fucking much of it.
Tell me about it.
But then
Brian.
when I rewatch like older episodes, I remember why I loved it at one point. So yeah.
So Brian also mentioned he watched A Man Called Otto because he watched the original Swedish movie. So his Oscar movie marathon has begun.
That tells you how behind I got with 2022. I still have not even seen A Man Called Otto.
I liked it. I watched it theatrically. House Made of Splinters, The Sea Beast, Eric O. All That Breathes, Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, and Close. Today's movie, all the beauty and the bloodshed. So I might be watching it by the time you're reading this. This was at 5:13, so yes, that is a good bet. That is the case. But the personal lineup for 2011, one of the crowning achievements of bad years for me personally, but good years for film. So
I stand by. 2011 was a terrible year for movies.
There's some good stuff in here.
There is very few.
I'm looking into the fact that obviously we're talking about the 2010 movie. That's what, because of course by Oscar rules.
Oh, is it?
Maybe.
2010 was a really good year for movies.
Maybe. I don't remember years. I don't know these things. So we're going to start, and you're going to just tell me if it's 2010, 2011, because you'll know this. Best Adapted Screenplay. The Descendants.
2011.
Cool. Kung Fu Panda 2. My Week with Marilyn. Puss in Boots. And the winner for Adapted Screenplay, Hugo.
Okay. My personal pick is The Descendants, but I don't. Yeah, Hugo's fine.
Hugo or The Descendants would be my choice.
Yeah, let me pull that back a little bit. Hugo is more than fine, but yeah, The Descendants is one of my favorite movies of that year.
So obviously we're going to go with what Brian chose. So we're going to do the same thing we normally do, but we're going to do it with his picks instead. So that'll be fun.
Okay.
Like that. So yeah, adapted screenplay. He goes with Hugo. Ashley, do you have just 1, 2, 3? What's your answer for that?
I'd go with Hugo with that one.
And I'll stick with The Descendants with AJ on this one. I love Hugo though. Everybody knows that, and I love My Week with Marilyn too. That makes me happy. That's in there. Original screenplay: A Better Life, Pina, Rango, A Separation, and the winner, Midnight in Paris.
Stick with Midnight in Paris with A Separation really close. It's interesting he has a documentary and screenplay.
Yeah, for me it would be Midnight in Paris with a shout to Rango.
I'm sort of three-way split between Separation, Rango, and Paris. So I'm pleased to see they're in there, though. That's a good list.
All right, Best Supporting Actress. We have Berenice Bejo for The Artist, Jessica Chastain for The Help, Marion Cotillard for Midnight in Paris, Bryce Dallas Howard for The Help, and the winner, Chloe Moretz for Hugo.
Well, my personal pick is Chastain, but it's for The Tree of Life.
Yep.
So I almost want to pick her on principle, but I might for these I would probably. Who was the first one? Berenice Bejo.
Berenice.
Who's leading?
Yep. Clearly.
I would say. I'll go ahead and say Berenice, but close behind would be Bryce Dallas Howard.
I would say Berenice with close behind Marion Cotillard, because I don't like The Help. Clearly.
I mean, I hate The Help, but
Yeah, so do I.
I'll probably be on your side, Owen. That's probably those two I'd favour over Chloe.
But
All right.
by the way, I hate how it sounds when I say I hate the Help, except for Bryce Dallas Howard, who is the most racist character in the movie. It sounds terrible.
Well, didn't you say the only good thing about Bridesmaids was the male character in the movie, Chris O'Dowd?
Yeah.
Yeah, that movie's trash otherwise. And I will stick to that. Supporting actor, Sacha Baron Cohen for Hugo. Beatty for Rango. Jose Julian for A Better Life. The aforementioned Chris O'Dowd. And the winner, Gary answered. I mean, my choice is Cohen, but I mean, Beatty is a good shout as well.
Yeah. Beatty was very good.
Okay. Best actress. Glenn Close for Albert Nobbs. Viola Davis for The Help. Lamara Meneses for Chico and Rita. These are filler spots, according to Brian. Emma Stone for The Help. And to the shock of no one, Michelle Williams from My Week with Marilyn.
Williams is.
They are. I'm tired.
And
Hell or High Water. They are. I'm tired.
And Hell or High Water was 5 years later.
Hell and Back Again is the one I made fun of. The one we both made fun of. Hardcore.
The one that's one of the fakest feeling documentaries I've ever seen. One of the most staged documentaries I feel like I've ever seen.
There's Nomadland now.
Yeah, it's a toss-up between Hugo and Midnight in Paris.
I gotta throw Warrior in there, too.
Yeah, Warrior's gotten better over time with me, because when it first came out, I liked it, but I thought it was, like, alarmingly cliche in all aspects. But it's definitely grown on me.
And I love the artist, as anybody around me knows. So, I mean, I can't go wrong with any of the answers we've given.
I haven't watched The Artist recently. I'm wondering if now that like the obsession with it in the industry has died down, maybe it would be easier to open up to.
So speaking of easier, because Brian left us early and left us his comments, it's time for production design in the 1970s. All right. 1970. Exactly. Patton, Airport, Molly Maguire's, Scrooge, or Tora Tora Tora.
I'm gonna have to say Scrooge, probably. That's the Finney one, right? The musical.
Mm-hmm.
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah, that yeah.
I'm probably gonna. I'll probably go Airport. Ashley?
I'd probably say Scrooge as well. Okay. Underrated Christmas Carol adaptation.
Very true.
Yes, it's fantastic.
1971. Nicholas and Alexandra. The Andromeda Strain. Bedknobs and Broomsticks. Fiddler on the Roof, or Mary Queen of Scots.
Yeah, that's definitely Fiddler on the Roof. It's weird to me Fiddler on the Roof didn't win.
Yeah, I'm going with Fiddler on the Roof as well.
I'd say it's close between that and Nicholas and Alexandria.
I would love to. If you love Fiddler on the Roof, I will direct you to Muppets Tonight, where Garth Brooks sang "If I Were a Rich Man." It's one of the funniest things I've seen in a long time. In accent and everything. This was when Garth Brooks was in his Chris Gaines phase.
Oh, God.
And it's funny because he's going through various different levels of Garth throughout the show, and he's like basically showing his range as a musician. And of course, the show ends with all the Muppets singing "We Shall Be Free." Great episode of Muppets Tonight. I really wish that that show was. I mean, I wouldn't watch it because I don't stream, but I do wish more people could see it because that show was very before its time. 1972, Cabaret. Lady Sings the Blues, The Poseidon Adventure, Travels with My Aunt, and Young Winston. Cabaret.
An Adventure is really impressive on the production design front. I'm gonna have to say that actually.
Okay, Ashley.
I'd just about edge it to Cabaret, but a bit of a nod to Poseidon Adventure.
1973, The Sting. Or we go with Brother Sun, Sister Moon. One word, of course. The Exorcist, Tom Sawyer, or The Way We Were.
For an obvious reason, I feel like it has to be The Sting. It's literally the whole part of the ruse has to do with completely.
I mean, the only other option I would go with is The Exorcist, but
The Exorcist for giving us the production design for Joker 40 years later.
yeah, it might be topical sooner rather than later. You never know.
No, I've seen the picture of Lady Gaga on the steps.
Would you stick with The Godfather Part 2? Chinatown, Earthquake, The Island at the Top of the World, or The Towering Inferno?
Towering Inferno is tempting, but yes, I would definitely stick with Godfather 2.
Towering Inferno would be a close second, but
as a theme park guy, I have to shout out Earthquake. Speaking of movies we got to see theatrically, 1975, Barry Lyndon, The Hindenburg, The Man Who Would Be King, Shampoo, or The Sunshine Boys.
Shampoo's inspired. Yeah, I don't want to like completely dismiss The Man Who Would Be King, but this is definitely Barry Lyndon.
Yes.
I'd probably say close second, but Lyndon would easily win.
76, All the President's Men, or The Incredible Sarah, The Last Tycoon, Logan's Run, The Shootist.
I might have to say The Shootist, actually. All the President's Men is... Yeah.
I'm toss up between those two. I would say.
All right. Airport 1977. Close Encounters, The Spy Who Loved Me, The Turning Point, or would you stick with a movie I don't know what is called Star Wars?
Really good lineup.
Great lineup, actually.
I mean, it's like that lineup is so good. It almost annoys me that there's no other answer but Star Wars.
Yeah. Like the fact that they just built a giant shed to do an actual like submarine tank just for the one bit. Not even including all the elaborate designs that Ken Adam came up with in terms of Stromberg's lair and
yeah, because I was ready to say The Spy Who Loved Me, and then it was like, oh wait, this is 1977.
This is Star Wars. Shit.
Chat, we should be closing chat off about 6:30 tonight. But as you know, if something happens and we get through everything in a lot of time, we can open up the floor to more questions later. 1978, Heaven Can Wait, The Brink's Job, California Suite, Interiors, or The Wiz?
Don't want to fault The Wiz's sets because I hate the movie so much.
The sets are cool.
I'm trying to not just say no, fuck The Wiz. But I think Heaven Can Wait's a good winner.
That's my answer.
That.
And in 1979, All That Jazz.
Did Ashley say something for 78?
I thought I did. Guess not. Go.
Hang on. Sorry, technical difficulties. I'd probably stick with Heavens Can Wait on that one.
Okay. All That Jazz. Alien. Apocalypse Now. The China Syndrome. Star Trek The Motion Picture.
Damn.
I
do not envy the people that had to vote for this in 79 or 80, whatever. Oh God. I mean, my immediate thought is like, yes, All That Jazz for sure, but I might have to say Alien.
I was going to say Nostromo alone is probably enough to give it the Dodd.
Yeah, man, that's an incredible lineup.
I'm probably going to say I'm going to lean towards All That Jazz, but Alien is close second.
I'd have to say Alien on that front.
Fair. Choose a tech category other than editing and production design and a decade.
So I guess this is for 4 weeks' time.
We'll put it in the Discord, Ski. So we know.
I feel
So
like
Brian, he doesn't be able to watch it back.
I feel like we're dancing around cinematography because it's the most obvious one.
Do you want to go cinematography?
Let's go with cinematography of the 60s. Because there's a lot of iconic sort of like things.
Were they still broken up by color and black and white by then?
Maybe.
Oh boy, we're gonna find out soon enough.
That'd be wild.
So ends the Brian portion of the show. We're going to be doing 1960 cinematography 2 weeks from now. Well, actually, are we?
No, as I say, it might be 4 weeks.
Yeah, it might be 4 because apparently 2 weeks from now, Ashley's forcing me to watch Who Killed Captain Alex and respond to it.
No, so Ashley is not forcing you to watch it. Ashley is gracing you with.
God. How can a television show be worth this much embarrassment?
Live chat,
Okay.
I'm going to switch to still images of us because I think it's probably going to be a case of like we're going to be frozen all the time. So, you know, we're audio tonight. Don't worry, the computer will be restarted within the next 2 weeks. So hopefully this won't happen in 2 weeks. Maybe.
Okay, that sounds fun. Let me know when we can talk.
Oh no, we can still talk. They can still hear us. It's just they won't be seeing our lovely faces. I can just put loads of things on.
Oh no.
Let's use the Sandra Oh with the dinosaur randomly in the back. I haven't used that in ages. We might as well. We'll do that. I guess that's how we're frozen. We're literally in the snow. We're Jack Nicholson in the end of The Shining, like.
Spencer Reed starts the day, 5:38 p.m. Favorite screwball comedy?
It's a mad world.
That's a good one.
Knowing as much about movie history as I do, I'm kind of embarrassed to say I don't think I ever really figured out what the actual definition of screwball comedy is. I just think of like classic romantic comedies like Bringing Up Baby and It Happened One Night and stuff like that. The Awful Truth. So just to be easy, those are probably going to be my answers. the Awful Truth especially. It Happened One Night, then The Awful Truth, then Bringing Up Baby.
Well, I'm like reading what is considered the 15 best screwball comedies of all time. online because that's what we do on here.
Oh, and throw in the Bogdanovich's ode to them. What's up, Doc? Where you could tell he's making an ode to them, but he also ends up basically making his own in his own right. So, What's Up, Doc is great.
I was going to say Weekend at Bernie's. I mean, I don't know exactly what constitutes as a screwball comedy. Weirdly enough, the funny thing is, if you look at some of these charts, The Big Lebowski is listed as a screwball comedy.
Yeah, I genuinely don't know what like the definition is.
Lebowski is literally the number one answer. Above Bringing Up Baby, above Philadelphia Story, above It Happened One Night. Above What's Up, Doc. Yeah. Okay. This list also just lost its heel heat because it says role models is an answer too.
So I'm also trying to figure out how much slapstick is involved in a screwball comedy and like where the line is and the definitions of those.
Mumford, Heavyweights, these are all choices that are listed on here.
Mumford. For some reason, my memory of Mumford is that it was kind of low key.
Very much so. All right, let's get rid of that. Thoughts? Oh. All right, we're going there apparently right now. Spencer Reed asked thoughts on where Scream 7's going.
Well, first of all, are we in spoiler territory for Scream 6 or what?
That's the problem. I don't know how many of our chat and loyal viewers. Don't forget, Brian waits almost a year to do his movie marathon for the previous Oscar season. So it's like,
well, here's the thing I can tell you about Scream 7 is I never really know what I want. I just really trust the writers at this point.
okay.
Like Richie's motive for 5, I didn't really think about, but is amazing. And I feel like there could not have been a better motive for a Scream killer in 2022 than what Richie's motive was.
You're not wrong.
But where Reddit and Twitter are essentially psychopaths. So that's the thing is, I don't really know what I want out of Scream movies until they happen, but I can tell you what I don't want in Scream 7.
Say it, because I know you want to.
2 big things. There are 2 big things that everybody's building up, that everybody seems to want to happen, and thinks should and will happen. But I feel like the writers seem smart enough at this point to where these won't happen. At least I hope they won't. I don't think Sydney should ever be killed, and I think Stu needs to be dead. I know everybody's obsessed with, if they bring back Nev Campbell, they're gonna finally kill Sydney, or Sydney will be the opening kill, or whatever. And people are, I don't know where the hell this thing ever came from. The original Scream 3 idea, I guess, is why people are obsessed with the idea of Stu not being dead. But, and I know Kirby's comment in Scream 6 can be taken in both ways. When we see the TV that his head went through, still in its gruesome shape, and her comment could be a fuck you to the people that think Stu's still alive, or a wink to the people that still think Stu's alive. It seemed a little ambiguous to me. But I'm hoping it's if you guys think Stu is alive, you're idiots. because Stu has the best death of the franchise. I think that's another reason I don't want it to be that. But as far as what I would want to see, I genuinely couldn't tell you. That's why I don't write Scream movies, and they do.
Ashley, look like you have something to say.
No, I'm trying to see if I can fix the stuff, but with its CPU usage, I guess I'm just going to give up.
Okay. Then I'll go. Everybody knows Scream is my favorite horror movie of all time. Ghostface is my dream role at Halloween Horror Nights. I won't even lie. It's the role I feel like I've been born to play ever since I became a character nearly 5 years ago. And the reason I truly believe that when we thought we had Scream and Halloween Horror Nights and the rug was pulled out from underneath us, allegedly, to not get in trouble here, it was one of those things that it wasn't the right time in so many ways. I wasn't living here yet, everything. I wasn't a character. I wasn't working for Universal. It's like now that I am, I hope that it happens, and I feel that someday everything's going to fall into place, and it will. As for what I want out of 7, honestly, just entertain me. Entertain me, surprise me, give me something to sink my teeth into. Like, I like the concept of the opening kill floral ? At in 6. I really do. And I like what the relationship between the sisters has become. And I'm curious. I love PSs. I love Easter eggs. But the whole movie doesn't have to be that. Like, the reason that a lot of people love the Deadpool movies is that they're fan service the movie. And not everything needs to be like that. So just entertain me, and I know you will. No matter if you bring Sydney back, no matter what you do, I know that it's going to be entertaining. I know I'm going to be there opening night, or in this case, the sneak preview before opening night. And I'm going to have a hell of a time because that's what the Scream franchise has done for me since the first movie and has continued to do and will continue to do until we have no more Scream films.
Yeah, you mentioned the sisters. They've been doing a really good job with Sam and Tara.
Yes.
Because obviously a lot of people didn't really like Sam in the 2022 movie, but 6 does a really good job of like building them now to the point that, and the twins also, where it's genuinely crazy how well the Scream movies are still working without the main 3 being at the center. I think that the fact that Sydney was missing from this one was helped a lot by the location change.
Agreed.
Because it felt like, okay, it makes sense that Sydney wouldn't be around because she's far away from what's happening.
Extremely far away, and that's even written in that way. It's like there's even lines that allude to it during the movie with "you don't spoil anything."
Yeah, talking about other things that like I said, I know what I don't want.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like you were saying, the meta stuff is getting a little out of hand. Like when they said, we're going to give Sydney her happy ending by not calling her.
Right.
And it's like they basically just looked directly in the camera and said, hey guys, remember the fact that Neve Campbell's not in this. It's like, settle down.
You mean the Cinema Sins moment of the movie?
Oh, God.
Hey, that stuff would have worked like 5 years ago, but now it's kind of just
it was even cheesy in 5 when Gale points to Sydney and says, "Don't fuck with the original. Here's the original." Because Sydney already has the line, "Don't fuck with the original" in 4.
Right.
And now they're just completely dragging that line through the ground, and it's like, just if you got to do the meta thing, just do it once. We get it.
I like the homages to the original movie in this one too. I love obviously the punch comes back, and Meek's character, in this case being one of the twins, obviously sets everybody aside and tells everyone the rules of how to survive this new franchise we're now dealing with.
And here's I guess you could say a spoiler or an anti-spoiler as far as 6 goes. Everybody seemed really bent out of shape that basically nobody died.
There's not a very good body count. That's correct.
Like none of the main characters die in 6, and I loved that because after Dewey, everybody's expecting main characters to die.
Yep.
So the most unexpected thing was not killing any of them. And I love that.
Yeah, it works really well too. All right. Now Spencer asked, if you could pitch a Halloween sequel that takes into account every sequel, what would your movie look like?
I don't really think that's possible. Because we've had characters die and come back. Are they talking? Are we talking about every Halloween movie in existence, or
See,
like?
brings me back to that conversation that we had the other day. How everything is broken up into different levels, different versions of the Halloween franchise.
Yeah, that after that person told me the Halloween franchise is a choose your own adventure franchise, that's the way I've been looking at it. So yeah, so by every sequel, does that mean there's one through Resurrection, apart from three, obviously, and the David Gordon Green trilogy? Is that what we're talking about?
It's not really alluded to, and I can't really go to the. I'm just going with the question that was asked an hour ago.
Yeah, because obviously zombies movies are their own thing.
Certainly.
God, I don't know, because they're complete. They're all different franchises now.
Do you want the final, no matter how we get there, do you want the final battle to be between Michael and Laurie?
Obviously.
Well, here's my question. And this
I'm not. I'm really. I know we've said. I just talked about this with Sydney, so I think my point's been made. But I'm just not a fan of killing off final girls after they get to a certain point. Like Nancy dying in the third Nightmare movie. Okay. What's her name from Friday the 13th being the opening kill of the second movie? Okay. But killing Laurie like 7 movies in, Resurrection was what, 7 or 8, yeah. I think,
something like that. I remember watching that in the theater and seeing that.
Yeah, it was like, that's where it's like, no. And you can tell Jamie Lee Curtis like wanted out, and that's why she dies in Resurrection.
Your opinion? I mean, it's not mentioned on here, but it's something. Spencer brought up the same with Nightmare. So if you have a way to spin Nightmare in,
because here's the thing is my 2 favorite Halloween like if I had to pick Halloween timelines as a choose your own adventure thing, I would pick Halloween 2, and Halloween H2O is one timeline I will accept. Actually, Halloween 1 and then just jump to Halloween H2O is one timeline because because at the end of Halloween 2, he just should not have come back from that, because we watch him like burn and crumble. So Halloween 2 and I don't even really care for I've never cared for the original Halloween 2. So just watching the original Halloween and H2O back to back, that's one story to me that I'm willing to take as one thing. And the original Halloween and David Gordon Green's first movie, just those 2 making one story, I will accept.
Sure.
I demand Halloween 3 has to be somehow involved.
Halloween 3 is a standalone movie. It should just have been called Season of the Witch, even though there's like 5 movies called Season of the Witch.
It's funny because we're dancing around a topic that may or may not see come up on this network in the next few months. I guess you'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, this is going to all sound pretty familiar in October.
That's why I think it's hilarious that this got brought up during the show tonight, because of the conversation we had when I was walking home the other night. We'll
just say this is a teaser for it, because this is just the tip of the iceberg for what's going to be covered in October.
Another one too. We talk about. I know you don't like it when I you don't like these little like how to beat things that I've been watching online lately, because they're kind of out there and they're not the greatest thing in the world. But I enjoy them because they're good background noise. One of the things, the latest Texas Chainsaw with Sally getting killed by Leatherface. Because obviously Sally would be like the final girl when it comes to Texas Chainsaw franchise. Like that was like 20, 30 years down the line. Is there a line that you can cross where enough time has elapsed that, okay, I can justify this now because she's basically a grandmother at this point.
Yeah, I didn't like how weirdly enough, I didn't dislike this new Texas Chainsaw.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, the only thing I really disliked about it was how fucking throwaway Sally was.
Yeah. I
Where
agree.
they pulled her up like she's gonna have her big badass like Laurie in the 2018 Halloween, and then just fuck it.
Yep, she's
And
dead.
then you can tell they're doing it for shock. Like you're like, oh, now all bets are off, and it's like, no, we've seen this, and it's been anticlimactic almost every time.
I mean, Myers. It's one thing to like for like Myers to like spontaneously combust and still come back from that. Leatherface has no reason to be still alive. He looks homeless. He literally could be killed at any moment.
I feel like we've never really had, because there's Halloween movies where they, in quotes, kill Michael Myers at the end.
Of course.
Leatherface has never really been like that.
No.
Leatherface is usually still running around when we leave it.
He still survives, and he survives this one too.
So, like, Texas Chainsaw actually makes the most sense as far as existing franchises.
Wow. Never thought I'd hear that. Spencer asked favorite horror movie side characters. So many.
I wonder how you define a horror side character. Because usually the core group in horror movies is multiple people.
Yeah.
Like, because now that we're on the Texas Chainsaw front, the very first thing I thought of when I heard that question was Chop Top.
That's what everybody would say.
Anytime Bill Moseley has ever been in a horror movie.
I don't know. I'm kind of partial to Drayton Sawyer myself.
Makes sense.
Well, yeah, obviously. I did before. As far as
God, horror is so vast. That's like Griffin Dunn in American Werewolf in London, maybe.
that's a good one.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's a very loaded question, Spencer.
Yeah, that's why horror is amazing, is there's so fucking much of it.
Yes. Thoughts on Valentine?
Was Denise Richards in that?
I believe so.
I think it was just like an early 2000s slasher movie, right?
You are correct.
I remember a twist involving like nosebleeds or something. I think I remember it being shit, but now that I'm on a slasher movie kick again, I struggle because like the late 90s and early 2000s for movies like that were really rough.
True.
There's a lot of shit in that area, especially the early 2000s. But I'd be curious to see what nostalgia has done to those movies. Usually the problem with those movies is they're poorly directed, because like in early 2000s horror, everything had to feel like a music video for some reason.
Yes.
So that's probably going to be even worse than it was at the time, but I'll be curious. I remember Valentine kind of having a similar vibe to Urban Legend, which was only a few years earlier.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
So yeah, I'll have to go back. My memory of it is not positive, but I'll go back to it while I'm on a slasher kick and see what's up.
And it wouldn't shock me if they took a little bit from Valentine when they did Happy Death Day too, especially with like the Cupid mask and everything. Even though it's done a little bit differently in Valentine than it is in Happy Death Day.
I have every reason to love Happy Death Day, both of them, and I just fucking don't. Those movies were the lead character. I know everybody loves her, but I thought she was Samara Weaving before Samara Weaving, and I hate her for all the reasons I hate Samara Weaving.
Boy, I like Happy Death Day. I will defend it.
I don't know. The second movie is not even a fucking horror movie.
Nope, not
I
even
don't
close.
even. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, we still got get a house out of it. So go figure. Favorite horror movie motive?
Well, I just talked about Richie and Scream 5
I
being
just
up.
like. I like the one. I like Stu's line about peer pressure. I'm far too sensitive.
That might have to be number one, even if it was a desperate last minute attempt. Still,
You hit me with the phone.
I like the fact Billy's motive is whatever, but I like the twist that it's so obvious he did not tell Stu that's what the motive was.
Clearly, it's not.
Stu was just in it for the fun, and Billy wasn't fucking around.
Wow, it sounds like Bully. Actually, if you really think about it.
Changed Billy to Bobby.
Yep.
He even has Nick Stahl's hair.
Yeah, he freaking did. Doesn't now. All my friends that got to meet the Scream cast at MegaCon over the weekend. I'm telling you, I'm looking more like Matthew Lillard every day, and it's scaring me.
I mean, technically, although it's more of a corpse rather than actually killing, but Victor
Shaun of the Dead.
Frankenstein.
Ah,
What was that?
Victor Frankenstein. He wants to prove everybody wrong at the university by doing it. And when he does so, he really doesn't know what he's doing in that sense. Which in turn could be Frankenstein's monster killing Frankenstein's wife. Because, you know, he's supposed to be this thing of beauty because that's what was programmed in his head by the doctor. So when he gets shunned, it's like, okay, bitch, bang!
there you go. Thoughts on Morocco?
Well, I've got a cop-out answer for the motive question.
Go ahead.
The best one of all time is the original Black Christmas. No motive because we never find out who the hell it is.
That's true.
That's one of the best horror movie endings of all time.
Yeah, I'll give you that. That's a good one. That's a great answer too. Spencer asked thoughts on Morocco.
It's probably, I know Von Sternberg came up again recently, and I said Shanghai Express was his best movie. I would say Morocco is probably Dietrich's best performance. But the movie itself never really stood out to me the way some of their other collaborations did.
Alice, Sweet Alice?
What about it?
No. Next question.
I have never seen it. I have almost blind bought it like 3 different times. And I still haven't. I should make that a point this coming season.
Favorite Rosemary's Baby knockoff?
Most of them suck. The only thing is it a knockoff if it's still him? Because the only good movies I can think of that have Rosemary's Baby vibes are also Polanski movies.
Fair.
Well, obviously there's the whole sort of like trilogy, his apartment trilogy, that it's involved in. I remember liking The Ninth Gate pretty well. Like I said, these are all other Polanski movies, though. Yeah, but most Rosemary's Baby knockoffs just suck. So that's a hard question without going to another Polanski.
The Black Cat.
The original, like the Karloff, Bela Lugosi one.
I feel like that's the vibe we're getting from these questions today. Very horror-centric themed today. How appropriate, considering the day, Spencer.
And yeah, I've been like drowning and I've been on a horror like I said, ever since somebody brought up The Burning in a Q&A, I've been just burying myself in horror. um The Black Hat is fine. It feels very minor, given like you would think when Karloff and Lugosi would get together, it would always be like this really big, gigantic thing. And I think at the time it was, obviously. But the only Karloff Lugosi movie that like really stood out to me that I loved was The Body Snatcher.
Okay.
All the others were just kind of like underwhelming. I think it's like I think it's Lugosi only has like one scene in The Body Snatcher. One of them only has like has a very small role in The Body Snatcher, but like when they collide, it's like I think that's my favorite collaboration of theirs.
Very nice. I got everything here. Most intelligent horror movie script in your opinion? We're thinking You're Next, Scream, Happy Death Day.
Well, Scream would obviously have to be up there because it did a whole new thing.
Scream's the original. I'd have to say the original Saw is up there.
That's
you don't see the twist coming. You just don't. And Cabin in the Woods, because it basically just every trope in horror and just flipped it on its head.
No, obviously, I'm not saying like all time or anything. For a recent example, I definitely have to point to Bodies, 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 which is just brilliant.
I kind of liked Overlord.
Oh yes,
and what
definitely.
it did.
Yes,
it's a shame that Julius never really got anything from it, because I'm not looking forward to the Pope's Exorcist. I've not got my hopes up. He did Samaritan. All he does now is just like rubbish.
Yeah, I was big into. I like Barbarian a lot.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, while we're on recent movies, for God's sake, we got to say The Menu.
Oh, The Menu is definitely up there. I think that actually would probably be the correct answer for right now.
The Menu is one of the best scripts in at least like the last few years.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Get Out's pretty good.
Yeah, Get Out's really good.
Yeah. As soon as the question was asked, my first thought was Peele, and then I went to something else.
I'd say most of Peele's movies over the last few years are probably up there.
Oh yeah.
Apparently, it's popular lately to shit on Us, but I still really love. Like, I love all three of his.
Hell, honestly, it's not. It might not be a one that people go to, but I feel like It Follows is on that list too.
I'm not big on It Follows, but I get it.
Well, at least it's not garbage like The Bye Bye Man.
Oh God.
And for what it was at the time, Blair Witch was pretty good. It took advantage of, new technology and sort of spinning it off into sort of documentary/found footage thing.
People like to give it shit now because found footage is so played out. Blair Witch is fucking brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about Urban Legend. I thought Urban Legend was done well.
Urban Legend is done in by Rebecca Gayheart giving one of the cringiest performances in movie history. If it weren't for that, Urban Legend would be at least top tier 90s.
Yeah.
Horror. Slasher horror, specifically.
Oh God, Spencer just watched Pacific Heights for the 30th time today. Found my favorite movie, The Ninth Configuration.
Oh, nice.
Has watched it 5 times so far.
He needs to let me know if or when he watches The Exorcist 3, then.
great movies you found later on, way past their release dates?
Well, all the great classics. I mean,
Yeah, most of the stuff that's been brought to my eyes because of Movie Club. I'll tell you the movie that I immediately go to right now. It's the movie that probably is currently screening at an AMC right now as we speak, if you really think about it, because apparently it costs like $5 to get the rights to run it every single year, and that's Casablanca.
I'm trying to give him a more specific answer. I'm trying to think of older movies I've discovered in the last 5 years or so that I would call great, but I'm struggling because it's always a struggle to keep up with the current year.
Yeah.
I don't go back as much as I would like to lately.
Yeah, I would definitely say Casablanca is my easy answer here. I love that movie. I've seen it a billion times, and I was very late to the party.
There was a movie I came across this past October called Celia. It's Australian, I think.
Mm.
And it like kind of blends. It's basically this really, really dark coming of age movie that works in horror elements.
Interesting.
That's it's very hard to watch, but it's one of the best movies I've seen in like the last 5 years at least.
Nice. And we move on. Spencer says, I never saw Son of a Woman. Found it kind of charming.
Yeah, it's really good. I honestly hate that people only associate it with, oh, that's the movie where Pacino finally got his Oscar for being Pacino.
Right.
But number one, it's a really good movie I think people forget about the Best Picture nomination, by the way.
Probably.
Yeah, he actually, that Oscar was for that performance.
Right.
It just happened to coincide with Pacino really needs to win now.
Agreed.
And I wouldn't have thought Chris O'Donnell would be somebody that would go so well with Al Pacino, but lo and behold. Also, early Philip Seymour Hoffman as the troublemaker there.
Yes.
James Rebhorn being the perfect James Rebhorn character.
So Josie's chimes in a little bit before 6 o'clock. Hey, Popcast team, finished reading When the Angels Left the Old Country by Sasha Lamb. Excellent novel. Now reading The Professor, Charlotte Bronte, take a shot, author of Jane Eyre, first written novel. Although The Professor was her first written book, it was published posthumously. Josie has a question for you, Ashley.
Uh-huh.
What is the best era of literature?
I'd probably have to say sort of the 19th century sort of stuff, because you've got a lot of prolific authors like internationally.
Okay.
You know, you've got your horror stuff from Wells and all that, along with sort of what became early sci-fi, although that's sort of verging into 20th century. But like, you know, Hardy, Bronte, you can see like how many different things that have sort of tried to, I guess they tried to Shakespeareify it because of like how well How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days did, and various other things that like, let's just take Shakespeare and twist it. You see how many have failed to do so in terms of like that sort of era, because even like stuff, Emma has a sort of, Emma contemporizes it slightly, but doesn't sort of veer too far from the territory, as like a lot of things have done, which really just lose their place. So I'd say that was probably the peak. Also, just because it gives you other international stuff, not just sort of like the British classics that sort of everyone goes by. You know, you've got Bram Stoker's Dracula, which was like 1897, right at the turn of the century, things like that. You've got the American writing beginning to sort of come through in the late 1800s as well. I'd say that's probably peak, because basically nothing survives from. I was going to sort of say Shakespeare time, but it's basically him and maybe like Marlowe. Nobody else was sort of, or nobody else really sort of got enough potential sort of stuff from there. I would
All
say.
right. Makes sense. We move on to the next comment. Apparently, Josie's brother met Mark Ruffalo on Saturday.
Oh shit.
No elaboration. He just met Mark Ruffalo.
Nice tie into the upcoming movie club too.
Yeah, totally. First time watches since last. Strange Planet, Jeddah, Atanarjat, the Fast Runner. Oh, my dad. Koyen, it's Kwatsi.
Koyaanisqatsi.
Yeah.
Which is, most people just know that because Philip Glass.
Yeah.
and the
That
score.
In the Land of the Headhunters from 1914. Just watch, Spencer said just watch Trial from Gwyneth Paltrow.
I know you didn't care for it, but do you remember when we saw Samsara at the Athens Theater?
Yes.
Koyaanisqatsi is basically like the movie that kind of popularized that kind of filmmaking.
Oh, Lord.
For a particular period.
Oh, boy. Spencer says Trial by Gwyneth Paltrow. Some Oscar-winning role there. Will you guys be predicting her?
I have no. It's early.
We still got 4 months before we have to worry about that.
I honestly never really thought about the idea of her ever being in an Oscar race again.
Oh, God. The Fast Runner is an Inuit fantasy adventure pick. It's an epic first film in the Inuktitut language, and it's amazing. Only Canadian film to win the Camera d'Or for Best First Feature Film at the Cannes Film Festival as of 2019. First submission by Canada as its entry into Best Foreign Language Film Academy Awards competition, not primarily in French. It was not nominated. That's sad. Favorite Fred Astaire movie? Says Spencer Reed.
You Were Never Lovelier was one of his, right? That was one of the him and Rogers movies, I think.
I honestly say I've never seen a Fred Astaire movie.
That one stood out to me.
I mean, Top
the
Hat's a
first one,
stereotypical answer, but that's really sort of strong and well choreographed.
Yeah, I didn't want to immediately jump towards like Top Hat or Swing Time because they're too obvious. But I don't know. Let's.
Wow, that's weird. That's definitely somebody's filmography I have never seen a bit of.
You mean you've never seen Xanadu?
I have not.
Oh, the Bandwagon is great. The Bandwagon might be my answer.
Oh wait,
but...
Xanadu wasn't Fred. It was who was it in Xanadu?
Was it Kelly?
Yeah, that was it. Gene Kelly.
That makes sense. All right, and we'll move on. Just started Brooke Shields' documentary, says Spencer. Thoughts on Pretty Baby?
Once again, Louis Malle is one of those directors that I have every intention of sort of marathoning and really getting deep into. So I have not seen it
Oh
yet.
wow.
Well, he's got a pretty he's got like 30 plus movies, I think. So I've seen a couple of his international ones and Atlantic City, but I'm looking forward to just having like a full on crash course on him soon.
Sure. Josie's birthdays for today. Her mom. Happy birthday, Josie's mom. My mom's shoot birthday was 2 days ago. Great
Who
mom.
does Josie's mum share a birthday with then?
Amanda Bynes, Elsie Fisher, Eddie Murphy, Josh
Eddie's
Safdie,
62, I think.
Matthew Good, Adam Scott, Ben Mendelsohn, David Hyde Pierce, Wayne Newton, Marlon Brando, and Doris Day.
Can't believe how Dolomite Is My Name came out 4 years ago. Because I remember when Dolomite came out, I said to somebody, I can't believe he's going to be 60 in a year. And now we're past that.
Now it's 62.
Because he looked like, when he was doing press for Dolomite, he looked like he did in the 90s.
Oh, nice. Very cool.
He still pretty much looks like he did in the 90s.
Josie, you know how to bring up facts for movies that are eventually coming to Movie Club, because it's a movie I absolutely love, and we're going to talk about it. But first, fun facts. I love Wayne Newton in Vegas Vacation. The living room where Ellen and Wayne have dinner is Wayne's actual house.
That's interesting.
Not surprised. Featured on his Cribs episode in 2000. Both Wallace Shawn and Chevy Chase went to the same elementary school.
That's more interesting than it sounds.
Speaking of that, it's also, like I mentioned, with the screencast. Chevy Chase was here this past weekend for MegaCon as well, and a lot of the people I know got to meet him.
I just don't think I would want to.
He's,
I imagine it's you pay $150 for a very cold experience is what I imagine.
Yes. So Wallace Shawn was trained to be a blackjack dealer by the sister by Andre's sister. Did not know that. So the reason why Wallace Shawn is named Marty is a reference to Marty Moose.
Oh damn, that never occurred to me.
Same. Today years old when I realized that. In the original draft for the movie, the Griswolds stay at the Wally World Hotel and Casino. Roy Wally was a part of the script. It's a reference to the first film. Why is this not a thing? Favorite scene where someone throws an object at someone. Could be any object, brick, rock, stone, etc.
The mug in Lebowski comes to mind immediately. That sounds like it fucking hurt.
I'm sure it did. There's so many. I'm trying to think of if I have a good answer to this. Ashley, have an answer?
I'd say Austin Powers for Who Throws a Shoe. Just because that's like brilliant. It's the unexpected things. Also, Shaun of the Dead with the darts when it's like, not at me. Funk.
Shaun of the Dead's a good answer. I don't mind that being one.
I think I've mentioned this scene recently. The scene in Holmes where Downey throws a hammer at Kurgan and it just bounces off of his chest.
I'm trying to think if there's an answer to this that immediately comes to mind.
I was trying to think of a good knife throw. Like the climax of Preetzi's Honor came to mind.
Okay. How about Gambit?
The heist movie or the comics character?
Comic characters are my absolute. Or okay, fine. I guess we could go with Bullseye, Colin Farrell.
Yeah, when he yeah, just in general. Are you thinking of when he cuts Jennifer Garner's neck with the card?
Yes. Happy Gilmore's explosion. when he loses it.
Don't forget, while we're on the topic of Sandler, Dennis Dugan getting impaled by Arlie Ermey and saving Silver.
Yeah. Okay, if you want to go that far, we'll just go with Steve Carell in Anchorman.
The trident, yeah.
Rick kills the guy with a trident.
I was just sitting here thinking about how much I love in Saving Silver when Arlie Ermey impales Dennis Dugan, his response is just, whoops.
Whoops. Another movie I feel like needs to come to Movie Club at some point, too. Not a movie that we really got a chance to discuss on here before.
That's one of those ones where I'll be curious to see how it's aged. Being a 2000s comedy.
Is there a scene in a PA movie that truly scares you? I got real tired of the franchise fast. So they're really
Literally, I swear to God, the most tense moments in those movies is when it's night and we're waiting for something to happen.
Or just watching the infrared cameras basically at night.
Yeah.
Probably that first one just in general. The problem is when it happened in all the sequels, you just expected it to come because you know the precedent.
I do like... There's scenes that I like, but they're not in like they scared me way.
Mm-hmm.
Like I like the impact of I can't tell them apart, so I'm not sure which is in which movie. But the one I want to say maybe it was the second movie that had like the kitchen explosion.
Oh, the one where everything just just falls at once.
Yeah, and like all the doors just open all at the same time.
Yeah, that might be.
And I want to say it was the fourth one, maybe the third or fourth one, where we watch a butcher knife fly up to the ceiling, and then it just fucking stays up there for like 3 days, and we don't know when it's gonna drop.
Okay. I was already.
As far as scariness goes, not a lot comes to. Like I said, it's mostly just the tension of waiting. I think is where those movies succeed.
That makes sense. And it is a understandable answer. Josie said, who would win in an obstacle course? This isn't a foot race. If it was a foot race, we have an obvious answer. But if this was an obstacle course, Paulie Bleeker, Pat Solitano, The Flash, does not specify which version of The Flash, but The Flash in general, Dash from The Incredibles, or Forrest Gump.
Well, the two superheroes have an advantage because hasn't it basically been established that when they're moving fast, they seem normal to themselves?
Yep.
So like they could go through really slowly to them. So I would say they probably have the advantage. I don't know how what Forrest Gump would do. The way he plowed through the band, I feel like you'd have to really. I don't know how much of the concept he would grasp of an obstacle course.
Yeah,
Well,
because you have to like run the tires, you have to do you have to do the swing gimmick, and it's just like I don't think that would work for Forrest.
but then again, Shirley in boot, we never see him in boot camp really.
No, we don't.
Very, very little. Um, Surely he ran an obstacle course there,
Yeah, I'd say so.
so he may have been really good actually.
But I still, like you said before, you really can't discount the superheroes in this conversation either. So I feel like they would have the upper hand.
Yeah, Paulie has like he's a runner obviously, but it's hard to say what he'd do with obstacles.
Yep.
So yeah, one of the superheroes is kind of the.
I think I'll go biased and go with Dash.
I'd say Dash because he's the only one that doesn't have emotional baggage.
That's also correct. Josie says thoughts on the Academy adding a production and technology branch. I think it's a great idea. Some think it's a step closer to adding stunts.
Still not really. The passion for everybody wanting a stunt category is something that I don't really feel. It seems like would it be? It would have to. I feel like it'd have to be a governor's awards thing. It wouldn't be like a show thing.
I agree with that. Doesn't have to be on the main show. I feel like it's something it just needs to get its time to shine.
And it's in the question of like who would get it, like the stunt coordinator, the stunt man, or men,
or women.
It's just a very messy area. I don't know how you would. I don't know that. I feel like that's the main reason we don't. People say, "Oh, we don't want people to kill themselves for an Oscar." I think the main thing is just the how you'd even make the category is the setback.
Josie brings up if the Oscars had a category for best color palette, then perhaps the colorist would have the prize. Which 2020?
I don't know how specific I would want Oscar categories to get. I know people need their rewards for what they've done, but.
And who would you give 2022's best color palette award to? Which film?
I mean, it's probably.
Josie, you're painting yourself into a corner, and I don't like it.
I'd have to say the film that I can't name.
There we go. Good job. We remembered the rules.
Lord Voldemort.
Yes, exactly.
The Lord Voldemort film. Because it is very vivid where it needs to be and everything.
True.
And it goes across a lot of the, you get a sort of a lot of the brown stuff of the post-apocalyptic times. You get the pure white of like wherever it is the bagellers. Then you sort of get the rock moment where it's just like beautiful sort of skyline with blue and everything. It's very colourful, so.
I agree. I mean, it's obviously not my answer, but
I'd probably lean towards Del Toro's Pinocchio, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'll go with Elvis. Because I'm looking at the options. I mean, maybe the Fabelmans? That's a tough question, Josie, honestly.
I mean, I don't know what this is. Color is something that I have a hard time like putting into words and like coherent thoughts. But when I think the Fabelmans, I see a lot of blue.
Yeah.
I don't know where that comes from.
Favorite?
Poster.
Yeah, I
Uh,
guess.
Spencer asked, favorite scene of A Closet in the Dark.
Well, we just mentioned Us recently. When he discovers the kid is a mirror of him is really cool.
Major Pain.
We're not in the closet though.
That's true. Halloween.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah,
that
that
with the first one.
yeah, that's one of those ones where it's like it's probably the definitive answer. It's just a matter of if there was anything else.
Conjuring? It's more of a wardrobe, not a closet, though.
I'll say Halloween and call it a day.
All right. New potential Best Picture eligibility rules regarding theatrical windows. I'm not aware of this being a thing.
Where's my web browser?
Yeah, they talk a lot about changing eligibility rules, but I kind of stopped listening to that because I feel like we'd still end up with the movies we do anyway.
Sure.
I think that seems to be more something that people just want to use. Like, there's really nothing to eligibility rules,
Mhm.
but people like to blow them up in media to say, you'll never guess what crazy woke thing the Academy's done now. And it's like, oh no, the eligibility is actually pretty easy to reach. This is just headline grabbing.
Fair.
But I didn't hear this theatrical eligibility thing.
Oh,
News
I think
to me,
it's
too.
the new diversity rules,
Oh, no.
the inclusion.
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
I feel like we've been down this road before, and they didn't really change much of anything. But people got really bent out of shape saying, "Oh God, this is what we've come to." But it's like there's not. I still think we'd end up with the same movies.
Yeah, so the new rules go into effect as of next year's Oscars. They were sort of soft launched for the past few years, but so it has to be 2 of 4 inclusion standards.
Okay.
It says see right. How am I supposed to see right on a web browser? You idiot.
Oh,
Oh,
boy.
I think in that respect it's trying to be similar to what BAFTA have brought in now officially, like at the
All
same
right.
time, which seems to be coincidental. I think it has to be a number of either key people in the cast or key people at least on the set or in production need to be basically not white. Not white men.
As far as what the results end up being, I don't really see that changing anything.
Perhaps not. Okay. It's official. Josie brings it up. Killers of the Flower Moon premiering at Cannes.
Yes, it is.
Everything's
And
at Cannes.
I've got some very interesting news that I was made aware of the other day thanks to the power of social media. AJ, remember I had a conversation with you about I'll be very vague about this, about Jungle Cruise. It's not the same person,
Mhm.
but I know of someone in Killers of the Flower Moon. So yeah. And I guess that would mean my base number is getting closer too.
Everybody panicking as well that Lithgow and Fraser got took off the sort of featured credits.
4 hours long.
Well, apparently their characters only sort of show up in the legal case, which is sort of going to be within the last bit of the film. So they're sort of like not in it as much as some of the other characters. Hence why they sort of disappeared off the cast list.
You could say, I know that kind of sounds like they have no more or less screen time than like Alan Alda in The Aviator or something.
Oh wow.
Because like you can't like cut Brendan Fraser out of a movie now. You just, this would be the weirdest timing to do something like that.
So also speaking of Indiana Jones 5 and Asteroid City, also premiering there. Cannot wait for Asteroid
And then
City.
the other thing is Pedro Almodovar's new short film with, I think it's Ethan Hawke and Pedro Pascal. Strange Way of Life is going to be at the festival. That's all that we know so far, I think.
Yeah, I'm just going with what the comments are in chat.
I guess the only interesting thing about that Strange Way of Life is it's apparently Pedro's response to Brokeback Mountain, which he, of course, was due to direct at first before it went to Ang Lee.
Can people stop complaining about movies being too long? It's not like this is a new thing. There have been 3-4 hour movies for a really long time. Go back to the late 1930s with Gone with the Wind. This is Josie stuff.
It's only just as long as they earn it, I don't give a fuck. If they don't earn it, cut that shit the fuck down.
The only people that probably will complain is the cinemas, because it means they can show less films a day. Whereas with something that's like 2 hours, you can, if you've got a 12-hour session, you can get 4 or 5 showings.
You've also got to look on the fact that movie scheduling is going to be, to elaborate further, will be a bigger pain, because that means you have to start your films for the day earlier, which means you bring in your staff earlier, which you have to pay them more because they have to work more hours. And we're not doing midnight showings anymore. So, I mean, some places still are, like occasionally, but depending on what it is. But I mean, 9 times out of 10, if something's going to preview, it's going to be the Thursday at like 5-6 o'clock in the afternoon, just so it barely breaks street date, pretty much. And plus, it takes a while to build a movie. I
was getting ready to go on a whole thing about John Wick 4's length, but then I was like, well, I forgot I haven't done the review yet. And it's one of those things where if I say this now, it'll probably negate a lot of me even doing a review video, so I'll hold it for that. But it's a positive thing. It's a reason where I don't like. Now that I saw it on Saturday, now that I've had John Wick 4 in my head for a few days, I'm starting to appreciate why it's as long as it is.
Yeah, this obviously is not something that, it's a big red flag for me normally, but like if I can get into the movie right away and you could keep me captivated, then I don't care about your length as long as you give me what you need to deliver in the time. But if you fail, you'll lose me quick, and then we got another Avatar in our hands.
I'll go ahead and I'll do a trial run here of something I was going to say in the John Wick video, which is, there's the way they do the story. Like there's a scene that I hated in the third John Wick movie, which was the whole sequence where he goes to the desert.
Mm-hmm.
Because it had no fucking purpose whatsoever. They completely negated that whole sequence in the next scene after he came back from the desert. And it was like a half hour just gone. Just worthless. The reason John Wick 4 is as long as it is, not just because the action scenes are so long, but there's the side objective where in order to get to the climax, he has to do this bit with Scott Adkins.
Okay.
And I really appreciated that they were like, well, if he's going to do a side quest with Scott Adkins, let's not just have a scene where it's like, oh, hey, I'm going to go take care of this guy and so I can do this thing. They basically said, let's make a fucking meal out of this. And so it's like, let's not, you could see the creativity coming out where they were like, well, okay, we can imagine John Wick fighting Scott Adkins, but what about John Wick fighting Scott Adkins in a fat suit, like he's in a fucking Dick Tracy movie. And then it's like, okay. And while they're at it, let's play this basically card game of death with him before the action breaks out. And it's like, the more they threw into it, the more it was like, okay, yeah, if you're gonna do it, let's fucking do it then. So
Okay.
that's the more it went on, the more I appreciated how they used the length. So that I can get behind.
You're intriguing me to the point that normally this type of movie would not be something I'd want to like stick it out for 3 hours for. But I mean,
it's a wild ass movie.
it is coming Friday for me. I'm doing it in a double feature with Mario.
Yeah, the first hotel action scene I felt was like, okay, I think we can cut this down a little bit, but as far as like him having to go and do other objectives, where it was like, yeah, let's do it while we're here.
Josie says it's she's reiterating what she was talking about. It's a film that is eligible if they release it in 15 or 25 out of 50 markets.
Oh.
I saw that news today about Napoleon, about it getting like how it's basically an Apple movie, like an Apple TV Plus movie. It's basically what it is, but they're gonna give it like just enough theaters, I think.
Sure.
Which sucks because of all the movies you'd want to put almost straight to streaming, a Ridley Scott Napoleon movie starring Joaquin Phoenix would not be my first choice. I would think that's a theater movie all day, every day.
Oh, for sure.
So we'll see how that goes, but I do not fucking like the way Apple runs their movies, man. Don't like it at all. I think they have too good of a product, and they don't seem to give a shit.
Josie says, sometimes I like to write fictional jury lists.
Like festival juries?
Yes. This year, the president of the Cannes jury is none other than Ruben Östlund.
Of course, he fucking owns Cannes now. Might as well.
SS Rahamuli, Brillante Mendoza, Mark McDonough, Sarah Polly, Marianne Jean-Baptiste, Nina Haas, Taranhe Aladusti, and Tang Wei.
That's Josie's fake jury.
Yes. It is possible, is it possible, if Indiana Jones 5 is extremely well regarded by critics and audiences, and it's a box office hit on level of Top Gun Maverick, could it have a similar awards path to it in Fury Road?
I personally have no passion towards Indy 5, but I feel like James Mangold being chosen to direct it was a really good start.
I agree.
So Mangold's name alone, it could really do anything right now.
I mean, Jez Buttersworth doing the main script as well has got a chance.
I mean, the trailer kind of got me somewhat hyped when I saw it the first time, and I'm like, yeah, you know what? I mean, as long as we keep the snakes off the screen, we're good to go.
I've seen a lot of talk where it's a shame that they've made the Indy 5 was pretty much made before Ke Kwan came back.
Yeah.
Because something tells me that absolutely would have happened.
Oh, yeah. Favorite scene in a movie involving glue?
American Pie 2.
Yeah. Ashley, have an answer?
That's a real answer.
You're not wrong.
I mean, probably one of the slapstick things where they accidentally get the glue and then it just keeps going and going. You know, like the wallpaper, like can't get the hand off. Something like that. I can't think exactly what it is.
I'm gonna go with Jackass. Poor Danger Aaron.
Shout out to Stephen Roddenberry and Ronnie Lilly getting his hands super glued to the steering wheel. But no, I mean, we just need to mention that for a second. Say what you will about Jason Biggs and his place in movie history, I guess you could call it. The super glue scene in American Pie 2 is some brilliant physical comedy.
Right. I agree. All right, so we've got favorite shaving scene in a movie.
Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Home Alone.
Also
I mean,
a
it's
good
the
answer.
literal box art.
I wish we had actually gotten a scene in Major Payne of him shaving their heads with the knife, but we never actually see it.
I'm trying to see if there's another answer for me. I don't think there is. God's what? Your website sucks, Esquire. Favorite Mel Brooks film?
Young Frankenstein by far. Because I like Mel Brooks, but I don't love him. I don't think his sense of humor is like it's most of his movies. The humor seems kind of childish to me, and I get that that's kind of the appeal, but
Yeah.
there's something so smart about Young Frankenstein, and that's what I really take to. I think, and the slapstick is amazing too, and some of the stuff with Marty Feldman might seem on like the more lowbrow thing, but that's just everything about Young Frankenstein works for me in a way that his movies tend to not always.
Ashley, you have an answer? Because I've got one.
Either that or the producers. I think the key thing is
This is a good answer.
when Mel is just behind the camera and maybe has a cameo. Blazing Saddles is great and whatever, but I feel like that sort of like thing just is a bit of a sideshow to sort of the real interesting story and the comedy with the Blazing Saddles stuff.
Sure.
I think those are his strongest because basically he takes his ideas and puts them to camera rather than try and find a way to him to be involved, like it more was so in later years.
I do think he's great as President Scrooge. But yeah, apart from that, because Spaceballs was the one that I grew up with. The others I kind of had to find later.
It's hard to think that Blazing Saddles and Young Frankenstein though were the same year.
Yeah.
Well, I'm the opposite problem. I didn't grow up on Blazing Saddles. I grew up on Men in Tights. And Men in Tights is my answer for sure.
I know people love Men in Tights, but it's just so it's really towards the bottom of his list for me.
Well, I get that, but I mean, for me, it's like it's the one that I identify with. It's the one that I watched so many times. I even watched that movie in the theater.
I feel like, and it annoys me that the most famous joke in Men in Tights, the one that everybody loves and references, is one of the worst types of comedy there is. It's the scene where Chappelle breaks the fourth wall and says it worked in Blazing Saddles.
Yep.
That's Dave Chappelle looking into the camera and saying, "Hey, that Mel Brooks movie that you know, he did this movie too, and this is the same thing." Ha, you recognize that, I guess?
Yeah.
Everybody thinks that's so fucking I don't get it.
I like that when I first watched it, and I haven't seen it in years, but I liked it back then. I don't know how I would feel about it now.
Also, if
maybe it's the surprise factor that you don't expect him to just flat out say the name of another Mel Brooks movie. But I mean, in a Mel Brooks movie, you should expect that. There's the I like to go on the opposite end of that. I love the joke in Spaceballs where they're playing the movie as it's happening, and they have to go through the shelf, and it's all of Brooks's previous movies.
That's great.
See, that I think works. Literally just looking directly into the camera and saying a title and saying, hey, we're doing that thing because it was that other thing. I can't get behind that.
Although technically, or even though it was uncredited, the best Mel Brooks film is The Elephant Man.
Yes.
Odd. Young Frankenstein trivia from Josie. The shifting hump on Igor's back was an ad-libbed gag. Marty Feldman kept shifting the hump back and forth for several days. When the cast finally noticed, then they added it to the script.
Good job, Marty.
Gene Wilder's favorite performance of all the movies he's ever done.
Mm-hmm.
The skulls that Freddy and Inga find under the castle, real skulls, except for the one that was 6 months dead. It was handcrafted.
Fucked up. I did not.
Josie asks, we'll get to Josie's Men in Tights trivia in a second. Spencer inquires about our thoughts on Chalamet's Wonka. I'm not sure if that's a good or a bad thing at this point.
I'd be completely put off if it wasn't King.
Yeah. Well, if it wasn't Paddington, because the screenplay is him and Farnaby as well.
Ooh.
So, like, I'm not excited for it or anything, but I'm not going to go in negatively based on that.
Sure.
Like, there's hope, so...
And Chalamet proved earlier this year that he's got the chops to make something like this work, and I feel that he will. But we gotta have a script.
It's a good thing that Chalamet's as good as he is, because he's really been flirting with overexposure.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
Through no fault of his own.
I can't fault a guy for working. He's in demand right now. Men in Tights trivia. Sir Patrick Stewart, born and grew up in Murfield, 2 miles from the site of Robin Hood's final resting place in West Yorkshire. History of the World Part 1, the movie's title is a play on the History of the World Volume 1 by Sir Walter Raleigh.
Then they waited decades to fuck up the joke, so good on them for that.
History of the World was a book about the history of Greece and Rome, written by Raleigh while prisoner in the Tower of London. He'd only managed to complete the first volume before being beheaded.
Again, more reasoning why the joke shouldn't have continued.
While in the Bloody Tower, he wrote History of the World, which was first printed in 1614, composed of 5 volumes, only reached as far as the Second Macedonian War in 130 BC. History of the World Part 1 was the final theatrical movie where Orson Welles was a narrator.
That's specific.
Spencer says, sorry AJ, growing to love Greta Gerwig as a director. Little Women has only gotten better. Lady Bird's a masterpiece. I will be there opening day for Barbie. So will I, Spencer Reed.
I'm happy for you, Spencer.
Favorite rooftop scene in a movie? Last Action Hero. Next answer.
That's up there. The climax of the first Turtles movie is up there.
Yep. Ghostbusters, technically.
Yeah.
I mean, the first time that we properly see bullet time in The Matrix.
Never saw the movie, so I can't count that.
Yep, there's that, and DiCaprio arresting Damon in The Departed.
Oh, yeah.
There's so many good roof scenes. I've never thought about this.
Oh, wow. Favorite basement and or attic scene in a movie?
Zodiac.
Yeah, that's I don't think their answer to that.
Attic would be the Goonies.
Now and Then.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if there's another answer I have to that.
All the scenes on the set of Wayne's World.
Oh my god, yes. That's not Wayne's basement. Isn't that weird?
I'm trying to remember if Wait Until Dark had any basement or attic bit.
AJ's movie reviews, the lights went out.
What was that?
AJ's movie reviews and the lights went out.
Which one was that?
We were in the basement for a horror themed versus.
Gremlins versus Critters.
Yep.
That was a summer thunderstorm, actually.
Yes, it was.
It was after, I don't know how I remember this so specifically. It was after we saw Jersey Boys. And we did that review of Jersey Boys, and then it was like, well, okay, we gotta go to the basement to do this versus.
It was 1,000 degrees down there when we got in the room.
Yet
My mom's office had no air whatsoever.
I kind of dug the ambiance of that basement shoot, though.
I agree. Oh, Josie, you're just like giving me great ideas for movie club. We'll get there in a second. Favorite bathroom conversation scene in a movie? Austin Powers.
I love that you consider that a conversation.
It doesn't have to be one side. A conversation doesn't have to be like two-sided. He basically acknowledged what was going on, even though he didn't. So it's close enough. Because obviously my answer to this wouldn't be a movie, it'd be Seinfeld.
Yeah.
That's the right answer. But I'm not a fan of bathroom scenes anyway, so. Oh, actually, this is a new one. I'll say Jason Bateman and Matt Damon in Air. You'll know soon enough.
Yeah, I was trying to think of a more like businessy conversation because the only thing I'm thinking of this whole question is Ice Cube and John Witherspoon in Friday.
Oh God, yeah, that's a good one. Oh man, one of my favorite Kevin Hart line of all time. The only one I reference ever.
That line is the only thing I remember about that movie.
It's the only thing anyone should remember about that movie, sir.
Oh, you can't say the line. Do you want me to say it?
The hell, I can't say it. You're right.
I think it was the first Think Like a Man.
It was the first Think Like a Man.
Where Kevin Hart is like going on a tantrum outside of a bathroom. And a guy walks out. Maybe he was waiting on this guy, is why he was throwing a tantrum.
He was
and
definitely waiting on him.
This guy's just wearing a hat, like a normal hat. And Kevin Hart's line is, "Who shits wearing a hat?"
No, it's literally who with a hat on.
Did he say who shits with a hat on?
Yes, he does. 100%.
Yeah, that's my only memory of that movie.
I mean, technically, isn't most of Saw 1 a bathroom conversation movie?
That's fair. That's a good one, actually.
I love the fact that I put in bathroom conversation movie and people the algorithm just gives out the bathroom scene from the conversation.
Oh, man.
Actually, speaking of the conversation, I recently brought up Runaway Jury recently came up.
Yeah.
And I said it's a pretty decent movie, but the only reason they made that movie is for the Gene Hackman, Dustin Hoffman scene. I'm pretty sure that was in a bathroom.
I'd almost say PCU, but it doesn't take place inside the bathroom. It takes place outside the bathroom. 2 to stand, 4 to sit. Good God. That's another movie I really want to talk about on here, and someday I will. I will. We already have. Someday I will. Favorite canoe or kayak scene in a movie?
Just canoe or kayak. Not rafts.
Yes.
I mean, I'm tempted to say Deliverance.
Yeah,
That's-
I was like, is
that's
that
the
you?
one that
Because of the
usually comes to mind to
forebodingness
me.
of it, you know.
Yeah, because I immediately went to Deliverance and the River Wild, but then I was trying to think. I think the River Wild is a raft, but Deliverance was canoes, right?
Yeah, the first one that jumped in my mind was Without a Paddle.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if there's any other answers.
Shallow Hal?
That's on there. Pocahontas is on there technically. That is another thing that I got to do when I was in California. I have now paddled a canoe legitimately.
They're in a. I was trying to think if it was just a boat. I think it's a canoe. They're in Mean Creek, isn't it?
I believe so, yes.
This would be that. The Truth or Dare scene in Mean Creek is.
Oh boy.
My blood runs cold thinking about that scene.
Well, we talked about Bully earlier in like a flippant comment, so we might as well brought up its versus opponent.
Not quite, but I get what it's. They're in the territory.
It would have been, but it didn't happen.
I put Bully with Alpha Dog. I put Mean Creek with The Education of Charlie Banks.
Yep. Spencer Reed, new content. Josie says, which book signing would you rather go to, and whose book would you most likely want to read? Giamatti in Sideways, Ethan Hawke in the Before trilogy, Michael Douglas in Wonder Boys, Paul Sheldon from Misery, George McFly, Jack Torrance, or poems by Mike Myers and So I Married an Axe Murderer. God, there's so many.
It would be Jesse.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm intrigued to know what Paul Sheldon's repertoire was actually like. If it caused that much of a fandomness to it. And at the same time, like Jack Torrance's sort of thing. Because, like, I'm guessing they must have sort of written epic works or something for them to have such writer's blocks.
I don't drink, but I still think Miles's book would be entertaining. Very happy to say that I got paid to preview Sideways. Thank you very much.
Because I was thinking, like, who could I have a relatable conversation with? Which is why I immediately went to Jesse.
Yeah, that's a good one. I'll give you that. So I Married an Axe Murderer trivia. Josie, again, a movie that has not come to movie club, that has not come to the network yet, that I definitely want to talk about. Love this movie.
It has one good scene in it. It just happens to be one of the funniest scenes ever. But the rest of the movie is so mediocre, it does not live up to that.
I enjoyed it. It was one of those like movies that I probably like should like keep in the back of my mind, but it's something I really enjoyed. While shooting scenes in the butcher shop, Nancy Travis got distracted and accidentally cut off her middle finger.
Jeez.
The tip of it.
Whoa.
On her left hand while chopping the veggies. Oh God. Okay. What? Joey? Oh, Josephine, why? Favorite Beethoven the Second scene, says Spencer Reed.
I think me and my brother covered that.
The burger eating contest? The burger eating contest. I would say.
Poets Corner Hotel scene filmed at the Dunsmuir Estate, the location for the mansion of Stacey Sutton in View to a Kill.
Huh.
I don't understand why this question's asked. Josie, why? You know me. Which snake would win in a fight? The basilisk, Ka, Viper from Kung Fu Panda, or No Feet from Little Bear?
There's a serious size difference here between one of them and the others.
Yes.
I don't know about you guys, but I think the basilisk might have the upper hand.
Yeah. Or the upper fang.
Snake Plissken.
Jake the Snake Roberts.
Yeah.
Bill Nye and Rango.
Oh, yes. Or, God. Not Dr. Megorium.
Oh, Tom Waits.
Yep, Tom Waits.
In The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus.
I was like, we were talking about Dr. Megorium. We were talking about Mr. Megorium's Wonder Emporium today at work, out of nowhere, because
Why?
a guest was trying to come up with the name, and I was the only one who remembered it, and I brought up my purple shirt they gave us. And then I was thinking, wait a minute, I want to think about and then Dr. Parr came into my mind when we were talking about snakes, and it's like, well, Tom Waits, there you go. The basilisk rules everyone, 100% of that list. Today's game. Okay. Recently, there has been movies inspired by products. Air, Tetris, Barbie. There's even a Beanie Babies movie coming out. Not to mention, of course, the Flaming Hot Cheetos movie, which we talked about a couple podcasts ago. That being said, I'm going to list out fake movies based on products. Which one or ones would you want to see, and how do you think they would play out? Are we ready?
Okay.
Crayon Man. True story of the man who invented crayon. Apparently, this is based on a book in the children's room at the library. That makes sense. An adaptation of The Day the Crayons Quit.
The thing about this whole concept is really, as long as the filmmaking is there, any of these could probably work.
Yes.
If, like, I feel like The Social Network kind of laid the ground to where if you make any of this Social Network-esque, you'll get something that's probably some level of quality.
All right. So I guess that is the answer. So we're going to go with, we're just going to list the fake movies based on products. I like AJ's answer. We're going to roll with it. The Crayon Man is then an adaptation of the children's book, The Day the Crayons Quit. A biopic of Joseph Gaetti, the inventor of toilet paper. Warning, dirty one. Biopic of Charles Goodyear, who invented the condom. The story of Nicolas Jacques Contes, who invented the pencil, or a documentary of the history of pencils.
I'm a little surprised the condom one hasn't happened yet.
I like the fact that it somehow went from like something to do with tires with Charles Goodyear, and it was like,
yes,
how about dicks?
Oh, by the way, while we're on the topic of products for your dick,
Manscaped.
We got we've got Bluetooth as a sponsor now. Sweet. Let's go.
While we're on that topic, let me say about my Social Network thing was, yeah, if you're gonna do this, make it more The Social Network and less Love and Other Drugs. Love and Other Drugs is not the direction you want to go with stuff like this.
I like it, but it's an acquired taste. Brian just finished all the Beauty and the Bloodshed. Tomorrow, Puss in Boots, The Last Wish. He got the Blu-ray, apparently, of the first movie. Hence its performance in the 2011 personal lineup, I guess. Great films that build suspense well. Spencer Reed.
Like 1/4 of Hitchcock's filmography.
Yeah, there's not many answers other than Hitchcock. The Conjuring.
Fincher's filmography.
Yeah.
This is definitely one where you have to narrow it down to directors rather than movies. Movies, we'd be here all day. Well, unless there's like real specific ones that aren't part of a great director's great filmography, but
Sure.
those I could probably maybe single some out. You know, there's a movie that nobody I know has seen except for the people that I show it to. I don't even know where the hell you can find it. It might just be on Tubi or something. It seems like a Tubi kind of movie. There is a movie with a pretty stacked cast that is written and directed by Jeff Probst, the Survivor guy.
That cat from FX?
Called Finder's Fee.
Yes.
It has like Matthew Lillard and Ryan Reynolds and Robert Forster and James Earl Jones. Dash Mayhawk, and it's about friends playing poker for lottery tickets, and one of the friends knows that one of the lottery tickets is a winner, and it becomes like this mind game between all of them of like who knows and who doesn't.
Sounds fun.
It's a pretty fucking good movie, and I don't think anybody knows it exists, despite the cast. And the fact that Jeff Probst wrote and directed it is the most random fucking thing ever. That has a lot of great suspense and build up in it.
It's weird because there's a movie I go to, and I only watched it once, but it was enough to stick in my mind. And I brought it up on here before, and I got to talk about Grand Piano. Very suspenseful.
You got to really be willing to commit to the concept if you're gonna buy it.
I think Stoker's that way too.
Stoker's great. Stoker's basically a remake of Shadow of a Doubt.
Yep.
Just a really, really, really fucked up version of it.
Killer Joe?
Yeah, in like the last act, but definitely. I mean, I would just recommend Killer Joe in general, but I think I only put it on my best of the decade list. But...
Correct. Rank every Spider-Man movie, including the two Venoms, best to worst.
Well, it's time to get controversial.
Yep.
Guys, in certain circles, I've already made this clear. I'm not quite sure how clear I've made it in these videos. And honestly, I would do a whole video on it if I needed to. Long before, since 2014, long before Garfield had his little resurgence recently,
Yeah.
I have considered my favorite Spider-Man movie to be The Amazing Spider-Man 2, which most people would probably put at the very bottom of their list. Actually, I almost guarantee most people would put that as their worst one.
I have got death threats for defending this movie on Twitter, literally.
And like I said, I'll just say that if you want me to explain myself, I could probably do a whole video on it, honestly. But after that, for me, I guess I'm going first. Oh, damn it. I just have a connection to Raimi's first movie. Like, it was when Raimi's first movie was out that I got like all the action figures and I recreated the scenes, and it was such a big childhood event movie that I know I should say his Spider-Man 2 first. But I just have too much of a connection to his first movie, I think, so I'd have to say Raimi's first one, then Raimi's second one. There it gets kind of hazy, because all of Holland's are good.
Yeah.
I assume with Holland, we're just talking strictly individual Spider-Man movies.
This is difficult for me because I haven't seen everything.
because Far From Home is whatever until the second half.
Mhm.
When Mysterio's the heel is when Far From Home is great. But Homecoming is really good. And No Way Home is one of those movies where I was right there with all the cheers when it came out, but it's not as... In retrospect, and when you've seen it enough times, it starts to show some wear and tear. I guess I'll say Homecoming, No Way Home, Far From Home, Raimi's Spider-Man 3, and Garfield's first one is last. And then let there be Carnage, then the first. The two Venoms are basically on par with each other, so they just kind of go hand in hand at the bottom. Is that all? Did I hit all of them?
I think so. I can't get in this, so I mean, that's Ashley. You're next. So there's 9 movies, is what it is, correct?
I think Ashley lost sound.
Ashley. Shirt and sound.
Okay, now it's working.
Shirt and sound. Let's go.
So yeah, Spider-Verse top, then 2.
Oh shit.
Then was it Far From Home? Yeah, the Mysterio one.
Yes.
I put that. Then 1. Then Homecoming. Then No Way Home. Then Amazing Spider-Man 1. Spider-Man 3. No, actually, no. I put Venom 1, then Spider-Man 3, then Amazing Spider-Man 2, just because that should have been better than it was, and probably this Venom sequel. I'd probably go with that as the list.
If I had to insert Into the Spider-Verse, because I forgot about it, it would probably go after Raimi's first 2 for me. So it'd be 4th.
Maybe Amazing Spider-Man 2. Homecoming. Raimi Spider-Man 1. No Way Home. Raimi's 2. Far From Home. Spider-Man 3. Never seen a Venom movie, and I have not seen any animated Spider-Man movies. A little bit easier than I thought it was going to be, but still not that easy. Thoughts on Jumper?
I've heard some people say that it's good, but I saw it when it came out. It was some generic sci-fi action movie. I forgot about it pretty much instantly, and I really had no desire to go back and see if it's any better because I still imagine it is, honestly. I mean, probably someday I'll come across it again, but I don't doubt that it's still a forgettable sci-fi action movie from, what was it, 2008, I think.
Yeah, with Sam Jackson as the heel, of course.
You see, Samuel Jackson is, probably one of my favorite actors. I have no recollection of him even being in it.
I don't remember much about the movie at all. That should tell you about its quality. What films do you see being a big disappointment this year? Spencer, I've already seen it. It's called Champions.
Disappointment to who is the question?
I guess yourself. There's Box Office Mojo.
I'm just using the Wikipedia list. Well, I probably would have been hyped for Magazine Dreams, but
Where's the Wikipedia? Oh, a list of American films in 2023.
I'm very concerned about having a Blunt movie that's by David Yates. That's concern. I feel like she'll make the most of it easily, but I'm really not looking. The list of directors she has lined up to work with are not exciting.
What the heck?
I wish I could be excited for A Haunting in Venice, but Death on the Nile was such a shit show.
Oppenheimer kind of worries me. Because it depends on what type of Nolan you're going to get. Are you going to get prime Nolan, like kick-ass, let's get screwed out of the Oscar good Nolan? Or are we going to get the Nolan that just kind of there?
Well, what's good about this Nolan is that it's not him doing some overcomplicated concept.
That is also true.
So this won't fail in the way that Tenet did.
That's what I'm thinking. I don't want it to be another Tenet.
I don't see that being the case because it's not him trying to be. Yeah. I mean, The Boogeyman is an option because it's a Stephen King movie written by the Quiet Place guys.
Yep. Which
I should be all over, but I'll just say we'll see. That's probably my answer to this question.
That's fair.
Probably Chicken Run. If it tarnishes the first one.
I'm starting to get pretty hyped for Renfield. I hope it doesn't become this.
Yeah, Renfield's gonna be fun.
I've heard enough good things to at least hope that that's all right.
Okay. All right. Moving forward, favorite dinner table scene in a film? Rocky Horror.
Django.
Oh yeah.
Texas Chainsaw.
Yes.
Yeah. I was trying to stay away from that one as much as I could. Batman's fun. Favorite barn scene in a movie? Spencer says Friday the 13th Part 3 is his.
That's exactly where I was going. I was going with that and Back to the Future.
On Her Majesty's Secret Service.
Maybe Ghostbusters Afterlife.
This is where somebody needs to chime in and say Women Talking in its entirety.
Oh, good God.
Wow.
Oh, Charlotte's Web.
Yeah.
Thoughts on Chronicles of Narnia? The series in general and its quality.
I'm good with the first movie.
Yeah, first one was good. Second
Fine.
and third is where it sort of like went off. So much so that the fourth one never even happened. And now we're just Disney Plusing the original things.
Oh, wow.
I remember Prince Caspian was bloated as fuck, like it was trying to be a Rings movie. And then Voyage of the Dawn Treader was like, it literally felt like Forrest Gump. Well, since we've gone this far, we might as well keep on going, I guess. And there was just no passion in it.
Are you ready for the buy one, rent one, lose one for the day? Maine.
Oh, okay.
Carrie. Pet Cemetery. Dead Zone. Dolores Claiborne. Shawshank. Hunt for Red October. Silver Bullet. Iron Giant. Andre. Cider House Rules. House of the Dark Shadows. Dark Shadows. Welcome to Mooseport. Casper. Wet Hot American Summer. Charlotte's Web.
And Mooseport's getting the axe.
Yep. But I have a problem.
Well.
I find it odd that it was excluded from this.
I do not see it listed here, so it's not in consideration, thankfully.
Because obviously my top two are probably going to be King, which means Shawshank is probably at the top.
Oh.
And then I assume we're talking the originals of these.
Yes. Correct.
I really dig the original Pet Cemetery. Like it's like over the past few years, it's like really. But I might have to say Carrie, because Carrie is like De Palma being so De Palma.
All right. Ashley?
I'd buy Shawshank and rent Wet Hot American Summer, because from all that I've heard, the film is like okay. It only actually peaked with the Netflix like prequel and sequel like series, where it actually sort of like got very good, which is ironic.
It was well, American Summer was a movie that had to grow on me, but I can call myself a fan now.
I mean, I'm a tad biased, just a little bit. Yeah, goodbye, Mooseport. I would probably rent. Yeah, I'll go with that. I'll rent Wet Hot American Summer, and I'd buy Casper.
Because of Ricci.
Yes. There you go. There's Casper right there. Ashley, look.
I was gonna say, I think we're still frozen image-wise, right? So.
Yes.
I mean, I'm switching between images because when I do turn on the video after a few minutes, all of a sudden YouTube says, "Oh, poor quality." So like,
No.
I'm trying to stick with still images because I don't know whether it's Discord being that hungry on the memory that it's that's causing the overload to make everything go weird.
Yeah, because that's like the third thing Owen's held up, and I was just like, are we still not visually here?
To be fair, I'm at the point, as long as someone can see it, that's all that matters. Josie
We did have that.
in this chat that we were frozen, but luckily we're not frozen anymore.
Yeah, we did have that Q&A once where I went through the whole thing where I showed off my awesome Blu-ray of Taxi Driver that like opens up in multiple ways, and then I remembered, oh yeah, we didn't have visual that time.
Thoughts on the Blue Lagoon?
Not a lot.
Yeah,
It's one of those movies that's reputation is significantly bigger than the product itself.
Yeah, that's a good bet.
It's actually, if I remember correctly, it's actually just really fucking boring. I feel like even visually you would think it would stand out, but I don't even think that was the case. I think it's just everything about it is just dull. That's how I remember it anyway.
Okay, we're almost done. Any ideas for a How Did This Get Made episode? Spencer asks.
They just did my dream one recently, which was Wild Mountain Time, so I don't even think I can ask anything more of them. They've covered so much already.
Not things I watch, so I would definitely not know about this stuff. And this is where AJ bashes the weird stuff I've been watching lately.
You know, this is Paul Scheer and his crew. That's different.
Yeah.
Have they done one on Metropolis yet?
I don't think so.
I'd like them to like go to really like the early days of cinema and try and work out how it got made, sort of thing.
I know there's got to be something they haven't covered that would just be perfect, and I can't think off the top of my head of what that would be at the moment. Because I also like it when they like Prom Night 2 when they realized halfway through the movie's actually good. I love when that happens.
That's always fun. Spencer asks, favorite mother-daughter relationship in a film?
I'm trying to narrow it down in my head. So I'm trying to think of who's won Oscars for playing mothers and then going from there. Because, I mean, the first one that came to mind was Terms of Endearment, but I don't think that really qualifies here. Maybe Sally Field and Julia Roberts? In Steel Magnolia?
Possibly.
Because most coming of age movies surrounding girls focuses more on dads.
Yeah, totally.
I guess technically the only one that might not is Lady Bird, because I don't remember the dad being in that very much. It was mainly focused around.
Yeah, Tracy Letts is great in it, but it is like a very small part.
That's a good one.
I would not have expected this question to be as hard as it is. Why am I blanking? I'm going to think of a million in like 2 hours from now.
That's what normally happens, too. I'm looking at the various options we have here.
Yeah, because it's usually dads paired with daughters and mothers paired with sons.
I'm just going to go ahead and just throw out Freaky Friday.
Oh, yeah? That's actually a great answer.
Great.
Well, while we're on the Lindsay Lohan front, we can throw out The Parent Trap as well.
Oh, yeah. Okay. We are moving on. Last House on the Left is an underrated Wes Craven movie. What's your favorite scene from it?
god, that's. I mean, they're all, but the exception of like the comedic middle portion, that's something that's kind of hard to say. That's my favorite scene. It's all pretty fucking brutal. Oh my god. That is a versus I remember being kind of proud of, though. My answer's probably in that video.
There you go.
That was a long time ago. You might want to refresh my own memory with my own words.
That's always the best thing. And when you go back to your own words and be like, well, I did a really good job.
Also, interesting thing to bring up as far as plans that have been made for October as well.
Oh, yeah, totally. And also bringing up another movie from earlier today. Thoughts on Hollywoodland?
It's fun. Everybody around me loved it. My brother loved it. You loved it.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was fine.
I don't know what I think right now. I mean, because it's been forever since I've seen it.
I feel like Eddie Mannix is the character's name, right?
I believe so, yes.
Bob Hoskins as Eddie Mannix should have been a whole movie, rather than like having a couple of scenes in a movie. And I know with Hail Caesar he did get his own movie, but I mean like something like gritty the way Hollywoodland was doing it. Bob Hoskins is that character for a whole movie. That's what I would have liked to have seen.
That's fair.
I think that was my main takeaway.
Josie hasn't seen Scream 5 or 6 yet. Spencer heard a rumor Tom Ford is doing a third film, has begun writing. Love both of his movies.
Yeah, I'll take that now, please.
Yeah, please do. Also, the first 4 Superman movies.
Okay, so 1 and 2 are great. 1's a little over long.
Okay.
But still really fun. 2 is probably the best one, right?
I've not watched Superman movies, good sir.
Everybody gives the 4th one shit for being the worst one.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't watched 3 or 4 since like I was like 14, the first time I saw them. But as like a 13 or 14-year-old, I remember thinking 3 was the really bad one, and 4 was fine by comparison.
Okay.
I don't know if that would be different now, but that was my takeaway back then. But 1 and 2 are great, though.
All right. Favorite horror anthology segment?
Something to tide you over in Creepshow.
Yeah, that's probably the best one. I love Creepshow, and it still sucks that we never got the house and Hollywood did. But honestly, I'm big on the original VHS too. There's some solid stuff in that one.
I also love the Peter Cushing segment in the Tales from the Crypt movie, and the David Alan Grier segment in Tales from the Hood is up there.
Yes, absolutely. First crush when you were a child. Mine was Jennifer Jason Leigh.
What was the question?
Spencer asked your crush on an actress when you were a kid.
I want to say the first one might have been Kate Hudson.
Nice.
It was particularly. I mean, obviously everybody had a crush on Penny Lane,
Yeah, of course.
but like it was a hardcore crush when Raising Helen came out. Raising. You know where you go from. You know when you go from boy to man.
6 to midnight.
That was Raising Helen, I think.
God damn. Ashley, you have an answer for this?
Maybe Paltrow from. That was a combination of either Shakespeare in Love or Royal Tenenbaums. Just like completely different lights, but still, you know.
I guess if I was going to go back a little further, it'd be Michelle Trachtenberg first,
That's fair.
and then Kate Hudson was like another, because it was more. I don't think Michelle Trachtenberg really, for obvious reasons, I don't think Michelle Trachtenberg really hit until Eurotrip.
Oh yeah.
Then it was like, oh, this is different.
Amy Jo Johnson, just like everyone will say. Joe Keaton, Christina Ricci. Those would be younger ones for sure, but like Alyssa Reyes from all that.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah. Big fan of that. Try to think if there's any other ones I can think of. Maureen McCormick. And aforementioned Christine Taylor as well, because of that.
Yeah.
Do I have any other ones? Yeah, those seem to be the biggest ones I can think of from like being a kid.
Yeah, so most of mine I answered kind of from a teen as I was going to my teens perspective. I know they happened when I was a kid, but I don't know if I can remember them.
Sure. Spencer asks AJ, how did you learn how to write scripts or screenplays? What was the first one you ever wrote?
The first one I ever wrote was, this is weirdly tying in. The first script I ever wrote was a ripoff of Collateral.
Oh, God.
Collateral came out August of 2004, and I think I finished writing this maybe in early 2005. And then we were going to film it with some friends. Here's the thing is, the concept was Collateral if Max was a woman and they fell in love over the course of the night. This is literally this. By the way, that book I'm writing. This is I'm reciting the prologue I've already written directly to you right now. And my cast was a real life couple. We filmed one scene and those fuckers broke up.
Yep.
And so,
Right.
and so that fell by the wayside. I have no idea. I have no idea even where that tape is. That was the first one I wrote. As far as learning, once you see a script's format, it's pretty. You just kind of self-learn. I think it was. I can't remember if I had bought the published script for Scream by then yet, or if that came later.
It might have been later.
Yeah, because Borders had a lot. Like Borders had like the Scream script, the Pulp Fiction script, the Bastard script. I have like actual published copies of.
You do.
Yeah, that's really all it takes is just look at the format, and then you can just kind of figure it out from there. Like the fact that that's why like anytime I hear about screenwriting classes or screenwriting rules, and it's like, just fucking do it. It's that simple.
Speaking of that, in probably the weirdest way possible, how long has it been since you visited Mile High?
I don't understand the question.
How long has it been since you revisited your original script?
You mean the first one?
Yeah, Mile High would be what it's known for. Mile High Stadium, located in.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah.
Yep. And we haven't talked about that in a while. I was just curious how long it's been since you were like when you were talking about it. I thought you were going another direction. I was like, oh wait a minute, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, okay. How long has it been since you've opened that script?
Jesus, I don't know. But I was gonna revamp it. Like I started writing a whole revised version of it, because I mean I remember it enough to know that it's an absolute piece of shit.
Oh,
But it was great because I had so much support from everybody around me.
yes.
We would have all of us would have done anything to make that shitty script. But yeah, so I was going to completely redo it and rewrite it.
Mm.
But yeah, that's what it's collateral. It's just collateral with a love story.
Yeah. You're right.
And I can't really find a way around that.
Spencer says, and this is something I didn't think about because this is not what I would go to. My favorite review video is Planes Fire and Rescue.
That's hilarious because I have no memory of Planes Fire Rescue.
It says AJ and Owen are going after that film and the comedy's on fire.
Okay? So that was the second one of those, right? Like there's Planes and then there's Planes Fire and Rescue.
Yep.
Okay, I have no recollection of either one.
I remember talking about Dane Cook, and that's all I remember.
One of the plots involved a race. That's it. That's all I got. Wasn't one of them like? I don't remember. But
thoughts on Anthony Adverse?
I remember liking it. That's the one Gail Sonnegaard won for, right?
That movie did not jump out when I saw what that was.
She was the first supporting actress winner. I remember the movie being good, but I don't recall anything apart from her. It makes sense that she won because she's the only thing I remember.
Right.
But I remember the whole movie being good, but my memories back. Once again, that's one of those cases of I was binging all the Oscar movies from previous years all at once, which made it all. So a lot of them blend together. So I need to retain them more. So I'll need to rewatch everything I binged through like 12 years ago.
Makes sense. All right.
I mean, the stuff that was really great made an impression and is retained, but a lot of the stuff that was just like, yeah, that was good or yeah, that was okay, is probably gone. So
Spencer liked your review of Better Watch Out.
Oh, I'm assuming that means he agrees with me because there's not many of those people.
He says he calls it Patrick Bateman's origin story.
The only thing missing from that movie's snideness is Samara Weaving. Yep, I'm taking another shot at her because fuck it.
Great attack on that terrible Peter Pan kid actor. He deserves summer school for those pieces of trash. Thoughts on the Razzie situation with the girl from Firestarter getting nominated? I think kids can be bad in films. Sometimes it goes overboard. I didn't think Jake Lloyd was that bad in episode 1. That movie had other problems.
The Razzies can just quit while they're ahead. I can't think of something I give less of a shit about than the Razzies.
Well, I can. It's called the People's Choice Awards.
Even that.
Oh man, really?
I take the People's Choice Awards over the Razzies. At least the People's Choice Awards nominate Blonde.
That's true.
They have that going for them.
Spencer says, "Good night, all, and to all a good night." My Spencer just dipped out at 7:00.
We can't have that many things left, right?
No, we're almost done.
Oh, nearly there.
I have a couple things left, and we need to take it home because I have to run, and I don't know how I'm going to run in the darkness. This is going to be real interesting. Looking back on the stream, I actually thought Bejo was supporting because the story is more Desjardins' character. That says Brian.
I'll watch it again soon, probably. I said I need to anyway to see if it's like now that it's not worn out like it was in 2011.
So we have a new, not necessarily somebody new, but somebody from Popcast Network's past. Somebody that's been a fan of this channel for years. My friend James, under the name Jimmy Blaze. He says, "How do you feel about Larry Cohen?" I just saw God Told Me To, and it's really bonkers. Don't want to spoil it, but it is relevant in 2023.
It's wild. I think Ebert described that movie as one of the most confused movies of all time, and I get where he's coming from. A Larry Cohen movie I had a lot of fun with was The Ambulance with Eric Roberts. That that movie's a hoot. That's um,
Brian, go ahead, AJ. Sorry, I don't want to cut you off.
God, I was trying to think of what else he's done. He didn't do The Stuff, did he?
Listed. This was actually a list in Jimmy's comment. It's alive. Cue the Winged Serpent, Black Caesar, the stuff. Yes, he did the stuff.
This it's interesting to me that The Stuff has the classic status that it does, because it's just I think that's what's good about him is he kind of embraces the weird and kind of made this sort of definitive group of like 80s horror movies. It's Alive is something I never really cared about until I talked about this in a versus we did a while back. It's Alive is one of those movies that changes completely if you watch it in black and white. It feels like it was made for black and white and had to settle for color, and it seems drab and dull in color. But if you watch it in black and white, it feels like a classic. Or like I said, but the way the milk is used in that one scene in particular, it's like there are actual scenes that seem to highlight if it had been shot in black and white. So I know turning the color on your TV down isn't the same thing as like color grading black and white, but it made a big difference to me. Like It's Alive is a whole different movie in black and white. I would check it out that way.
Nice. All right. Couple more questions. We're going to take it home here. Brian says, didn't hear the rest of my lineups because of the technical difficulties. Mainly your thoughts on those nominees and winners. Thankfully, we have a wonderful stream that can be replayed at any point if you want to check that out. We are dangerously late tonight. Our normal 3-hour window, it seems like.
I'll say that they're fine, but I thought Edgerton was especially inspired.
There you go. I agree with a lot of them. Jimmy says, No Way Home, Spider-Man 2, Homecoming, Spider-Man 1, Far From Home, Amazing 2, Amazing 1, Spider-Man 3, haven't seen the Venom movies, Spider-Verse between Spider-Man 1 and Far From Home. Brian got the cinematography in the 60s, so we're good on that. Dinner table scene for Jimmy, My Dinner with Andre.
Of course.
The scene is literally the entire movie.
Mm-hmm.
The Ramones' Pet Cemetery theme song rocks. Never got Wet Hot American Summer, not my style of humor. My friend worked overtime trying to get me to like it, but to no avail. Mother-daughter, Ellen Burstyn and Linda Blair, and The Exorcist.
Yeah.
Crushes on Molly Ringwald, Elizabeth Shue, Marissa Tomei, the three big ones. I'm a little older.
Elizabeth Shue is a good one. Adventures of Babysitting Elizabeth Shue kind of had an impact on me a little bit. I don't think I knew what it was at the time, but she made me feel something.
For me, since I'm a 2000s kid, Miley Cyrus and Victoria Justice. Oh, I could go all day if we want to go later in years, but like we're talking about kids.
Oh damn! I just remembered a big childhood crush. Shannon Elizabeth.
Oh yeah, Allison Hannigan, obviously for me. If you know, you know.
It was.
Oh, there.
I know, obviously, anybody that's my age, American Pie changed our life.
Yes.
But it was her and Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back with the hair tied back and the glasses, where it was.
Yes.
She really. Yeah.
I was a Trachtenberg guy too, and Heather Matarazzo reminded me of somebody I knew back in the day in Hostel 2, and I hated seeing her. That sucked.
Yeah, one of the weirdest things to ever happen in Hollywood was Heather Matarazzo being typecast as ugly people.
Yes.
When she's anything but.
Tell me about it. I was an America Ferrera fan before most people even realized who she was.
Yeah.
Lords of Dogtown, Real Women Have Curves. Way before How to Overrate Your Dragon. I just saw the cast list for Collateral. Wow. Yes, Brian. You'll know the ways in 2 weeks. And Haley Steinfeld for Brian. a classmate of mine looked like her around my age. I could say Danielle Fishel, too. I'm sure that's another one everybody jumps to. That's it.
We're done?
Yes. I get to go run in the darkness. This is going to be super fun. Thanks, everyone, for joining us tonight. Had our good fun with our QA show. Next week, nothing. No live programming here on the network, but we've got more Sip and Snacks, more snack stashes, more AJ's movie review content. In 2 weeks, we're going to talk about the aforementioned Collateral and Popcast Movie Club. Times to be announced. Should be that Sunday. And then Monday, because AJ is busy, Ashley has came up with an idea to have me watch Who Killed Captain Alex and react to it, and that will also coincide with some questions from the live chat as well. So yeah, you're finally going to get my opinion on Who Killed Captain Alex on this channel. 2 weeks after that, we have our next pick, which is Ashley's pick. No.
It's Chris's pick of mystery.
There's layers to how off that was.
Yeah, that's right. We're doing Chris's next pick. That's right.
The end of May, aka my birthday.
Yes.
Is when I get my pick, which is
Yes.
good.
Because of course we have our what is in all actuality kind of like a patron's pick, even though we don't have Patreons here or patrons. We do have people that do check out what we do, and I feel like I'm turning into Eugene Levy right now in the way I'm talking with my inflection of my voice. Needless to say, what I'm trying to tell you is we're going to be doing a pick from the chat. They're going to select our movie club pick for our 10-year anniversary show. So
get your picks in, everybody. DM them to Owen or whatever, because as it stands, it's Harold and Maude, because nobody else has said anything.
That's right. Harold and Maude versus nothing right now. So yeah, that's going to be. We'll get to that later. Ashley can be found on Twitter at AshIsMyNameUK, and of course, snack stashes are still to come very soon. So get ready for those. AJ, of course, his content will be back in full effect for 2023 movies in the very near future. I'd say probably just as soon as this week. Lots of stuff to cover. And I've got plenty of Voices content still. Dickens Carolers still. I've got plenty of Sip and Snacks that you haven't even seen yet. Like I said, did a 20-minute video on Rise the other day. 7 energy drinks in that video. That's a fun one. Lots of cool stuff is coming. And who knows, maybe in the very near future, I may have some good news for everyone. I guess we'll see what happens. So that being said, obviously we are a couple weeks away from intellectual property, which means go buy it. There's a new white variant for the vinyl that exists now. Waterparksband.com. Check that out. That being said, I want to thank you guys and girls out there for watching. And Brian chimed in real quick, says that I will save cinematography in the personal lineup because my marathon ends on the 30th. Fair.
Also, thank you for bearing with the technical issues. I'm able to go. Apparently, it somehow sort of fixed itself, so that's why I've been envisioned for the outro, because I figured it'd make sense to. So, but I hope you enjoyed, Lizard and Sandra Oh with dinosaurs and the Yak and Craig from Halo.
And whatever you do, make sure you have a good mate. Make sure you always lick their foreheads. Rest in peace. And that's all I got to say about that.
Fuck is that?
We'll explain.